What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This episode, we're going to dive into kind of my journey as to how I got into coaching, where we're at with the coaching, trying to catch everybody up to speed with where we are right now. You heard the two-part episode of my journey with endurance sports, couch to 5K, to marathoner, Ironman, ultra marathon, all the fun stuff in between from A to Z, basically. And still learning, still pushing those limits, still seeing what I'm capable of and what my potential really is in endurance sports. But now that I've taken on a new role over the last couple years as well as an endurance coach, I figure it's important to kind of talk about that story real quick. And this won't be as in depth or detailed as my journey through endurance sports, but it will be is just kind of something that you'll get to know me more as a coach and my background and kind of my mentality with it and things like that. Really, I've always been self-coached as an athlete, good or bad. And there's pros and cons to both. I'm very self-motivated, self-taught. I'm very like to test and evaluate things on my own, learn from other people, put things into place, see how they are, and track progress. Like I'm very data driven. You'll know that about me. Anyone who works with me or is close with me is I don't let data rule me. I don't let it, um, but I use it to define at least some progress and what's working and things like that. So for me, what's very important about it is started on Training Peaks for myself probably back in 2019, where I was tracking everything. Really use Garmin and that ecosystem to be the data collection, which then pushes it to Training Peaks. And then I use Training Peaks as kind of like, I guess you can say like the scientific end of things as far as how I can evaluate and look at trends and use the data there. Because I don't really trust the Garmin. A lot of people rely on it too much as far as dictating themselves. And you really got to make sure accuracy of data. If you're going to go by numbers and things that something recommends for you, you have to have the proper templates and inputs. And what I mean by that is you have to have your proper zone set up, you have to have your proper metrics put in there, or it's going to think that you're this other type of person, and the training that you're putting into that ecosystem, it's going to spit out different results as far as your recovery and your VO2 max and things like that. So everything has to be kind of put in there, and that's something I hone down now with my athletes as far as accuracy in data. If you're going to want to go by data and be data driven, you have to have accuracy and most importantly, consistency amongst that. So with the rewind on that, 2019, I really into Training Peaks and following along, and then that 2020 approach, like I mentioned in the prior episode, was kind of the initial burnout phase of doing training a little too hard, too often, not listening to the body, not understanding the approach that needs to be taken with endurance sports, where you need to stress the body, rest the body, recover, absorb the fitness, progress forward, and then move on to the next block of training. No one workout or no one week is going to define you and improve your fitness. As hard as you can try to push out there, it's about this compounded effectiveness of training over time that is going to give you the results. So once 2020 came and I had to pause a lot of my training, I dipped into really just doing a lot of just holding a good volume at a low intensity. And the important part of that was just wasn't paying attention to numbers. Like there was nothing to really pay attention to. And there's really no reason to push myself because I was trying to recover and heal my body and not, use the time of having no races because of the year of COVID. Just being able to enjoy training and just ran a lot, still biked, swam, just enjoyed that year of training, but kind of stress free. Like there was no finish line to chase, there was no start line to step up to, ready to go and push myself. Because again, that me versus me and trying to see what my potential is kind of was halted for a little while. So I remember, I think it was the winter of sometime around the end of 2020 when it got a little cooler out and we were just on a morning run and I'm just running and I have my heart rate zones. I understand where all that stuff needs to be. And I looked at my watch, for the first time in a while, just really wasn't paying attention to much of the data, just letting it input and collect. And I remember seeing like, wow, like why is my heart rate not really getting up there at all? Like this run, it was just seemed lower than usual. And next couple runs, easy runs, just same thing. It just wasn't getting to where it needed to be. And again, the weather was getting cooler out, so I thought that maybe had something to do with it. I always wore a heart rate strap so to get accurate heart rate data. And then again, I was like, maybe my heart rate strap is like not reading properly. So I actually went out, I bought a new heart rate monitor, put it on, and same thing. It was reading the same numbers. Then I was just thinking to myself, I didn't really do anything crazy this year. What? And then I learned like I was just getting really efficient and good at running. Like the volume, and I was able to recover. I was able to put volume in. It was the most volume up to that point. You learn that every year in running, I've done more distance up to this point, and my body was becoming more efficient. I was building this big aerobic engine. I was doing all the things inside my body physiologically that happens at these lower intensities that make you a more efficient runner. So that was just something that clicked with me. And I'm like, wow, there really may be something to this go slow to get faster approach. Because even as we progressed into 2021, my times at short course stuff, short course racing, when that all came back around, was still getting better. So I was like, wow, I'm not really crushing myself in training, but I'm still progressing. I'm feeling better and I'm able to manage this volume a lot better. So I started diving into a lot more of the 80-20 approaches of training that year. And that's, if you look it up, 80-20 Endurance by Matt Fitzgerald. Great book, 80-20 for runners, 80-20 for triathletes. It really talks about the bulk of your training needs to be in this zone 1, zone 2, 80% of the time. And then we reserve that other 20% of the volume for higher intensity efforts, specific efforts related to the event that you're going to go do. And that doesn't have to be a perfect balance. That could be 85-15. But if you start to skew it the other way a little too much and you're 70-30 or 60-40 and you're just running hard or training too much too often, they're actually negating the effects because you're not able to recover from your workouts and you're not able to absorb the fitness. So that was a big mindset shift. And again, something I enacted through my training, which worked for my Ironman that year. I used an 80-20 based plan for my Ironman, and I hit it to the T, felt phenomenal on race day, and I was sold. I was sold at that moment in that training philosophy and how this is a sustainable and longevity approach to training, which is what I was looking for. I didn't want to just burn out. I wanted to keep doing this. And at the time, I was running with a friend of mine. Through that year, I was helping her with it. I helped her with her zones, and she was understanding it more. And everything I learned, I would pass on to her. She was really, the first person that I was one-on-one kind of helping with that. And then she had her second child, and then we did a kind of a comeback journey for her. Started real easy, built back into her running. She was able to complete a 50K a short time later. So, and that was with that approach of training that I was using for her. And it worked out pretty well. And I said, you know what? Through that year as well, through the 2021 year with my Ironman, it went so well, the training that I laid out for myself and the philosophies and training plan that I was using, that I said, I should probably take a class just to verify what I was doing was to the most efficient way possible to train. Because we don't want to waste our time training, especially if we're looking to progress. We want to be able to do what we need to do and progress. So I took an Ironman U certification course at the end of 2021. After my Ironman, I was just so jazzed and pumped up at how that all went, that my journey up to that point, that I really wanted to solidify myself and what I was doing, since I was self-coached, as what I was doing was proper before, because I was getting some inquiries about, training and things like that year. So I took that course. It was an awesome course online. Again, that was an Ironman U course, became an Ironman U certified coach. Got listed on their directory afterwards and started getting some more inquiries through that as well. And just put it out there, like put a post out that, hey, awesome, kind of like a review of the class, posted up on social, just like took this class, was awesome, reiterated a lot of things that I was doing during training. Awesome. And then again, a couple more people started to inquire about training and coaching and things like that. I really wasn't looking to per se make it a part of my life at that time, like have the responsibility of coaching athletes, but it just inevitably kind of started going down that way because I started to like learning. There's always more to learn. You don't just take one class, because if you took a coaching class 15 years ago, obviously things have changed since then. So you need to stay up with the current practices, and they call them elite best practices. It kind of filters down from the pros down. So what they do, they're fighting for top positions. And if you've ever followed anything with endurance sports lately, the times that they're putting up, because there's so much science that can go behind the training now. So we get to let them play and spend all the money, and then it kind of filters down into the age groupers like us, and we're able to take bits and pieces of what is the most efficient way to train or fuel yourself and put that into play after they're able to do that. So I was interested in continuing to learn, and running was, again, my bread and butter for endurance. So I wanted to start now looking into some type of more run certification, really help people with running specifically, because that can be, out of most endurance sports, the thing that can hurt you the most. If you dive into it, the wrong amount of training intensity or volume too soon, or too soon from injury, you could get burned out real quick or hurt. And that's going to limit your progress and just not make it fun. So I wanted to as well prevent what happened to me early on, or the road I was going down, from happening to others. So that's why I really wanted to get into a little more with the running and the run coaching. So in 2022, I found a run certification course, the USCO run certification course. And I did that in 2022. And again, it was a good course, because it was not something where they rigidly defined what needs to be done with training. The course was very broad in the sense that it would talk about topics in training and kind of give you both sides of it. And you need to kind of figure out where like, it'll tell you what works, but it'll also tell you the other side of things. So you're not so left and right on how your philosophy is on training. You can't just hold, this is the way training needs to be, and that's it. You need to be kind of open-minded with learning and the other sides of arguments. And not everybody's the same. Not every athlete, not two athletes are going to absorb fitness in the same way. So that's why that course was very good. It opened my eyes to that side of things. And again, just posted up that, that I'm a USCO certified run coach now. And if anyone's got any questions, I'd love to be able to help you out. And that's just kind of my mindset at the time. But 2022, 2023, and especially 2024, it just organically started to have some local friends ask me, hey, I'm doing this race. Would you mind giving me a training plan? And I was still learning a couple years ago as far as training peaks and building out things. It really helped that I had that one friend early on with her running, that I was able to play a lot on her calendar and make some processes in place. Because for me, I don't want to promote myself as anything unless I'm kind of all in on it, as far as having things set up, best value for people. That's kind of my mentality on things. I don't want to waste anybody's time when there's tons of coaches out there and people that have been doing this for a really long time. And, I wasn't really trying to set myself apart from anybody else, just kind of saying, hey, I'm an endurance athlete. I'm doing coaching now for some people. Some people have asked, and, it's kind of a word of mouth thing. I don't think I ever really, besides a few posts once in a while, just saying that I'm a coach, really ever advertised coaching per se. Through a website together, giving a try landing page, just to have people be able to look up the name, be able to see all the connections and everything. I was really more of a creator, I guess, in the space. I wanted to document my journey from that beginning on, especially on Instagram. I love posting on there, just as far as not, hey, look what I did, but hey, you can do it too. We can motivate each other. Same thing with YouTube that I've continued on since 2021 with after that Ironman journey. Just like to make videos and document days, and anytime I do a special event, try and take the camera with me, and getting better at video editing. Again, just learning. Like, we live in a world of, endless opportunity to do something that you love to do, that you get enjoyment behind, and creating, like this, like talking to you, or creating a video, or giving just a little bit of insight into a topic that somebody may want to know more about. How could you not take that opportunity and put it out there? So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And just kind of kept going, as far as, again, organically grown through, I guess, the best thing, or, well, rewind. I guess when I first started coaching, I felt a little imposter syndrome. I won't lie. At the first onset of taking these classes, was like, hey, who am I to say that you're a coach, or who am I? I don't have much coaching experience. I mean, but although I've coached myself pretty well over the past few years, um, maybe you look at other coaches and what they've established and things like that, and you just kind of like, am I getting into a space that I really don't belong in? And again, that's natural. That's natural for runners when they start. They get this imposter syndrome of like, I'm not good enough or something like that. But what started to help me out of that at the start was when people that I was working with or worked with, I'd get recommendations from people that they know as far as to come on board. Like, hey, this is my friend. They might reach out to you. They got some goals this year. So to me, that just told me that they're getting some value out of what we're doing together. I don't have to, per se, I wasn't looking to have a certain number of athletes per year. I'm not looking to ever, as of right now, make this like a full-time business. I still have a career, full-time career that I'm involved in. And this to me is just a way I can help more people. At the position I'm in my other career right now, I am a creator and a teacher. I teach people and I'm an instructor. So it was just a natural for me to carry that on to another part of my life that I'm very passionate about, which is endurance sports. So to be able to create, talk, lead people in a direction that's going to help them be more healthy and successful in endurance sports in sustainability and longevity. That's one of my two biggest pushes when I send out my coaching philosophy to anybody who's inquiry. Is I send out a coaching philosophy, and it's something I typed up when I started coaching. It was kind of my vision on things, on how I approach training and the total aspect of it. If you're looking to sign on board, go hot and heavy, and crush a race in 4 months and never do racing ever again, you know, we can get you there, but that's not my true passion. My true passion is taking somebody who's newer, maybe somebody who's seasoned and looking for a change, showing them as much as I can in a short period of time to be able to get them back on the right track, understanding the differences in what base building is, what off season is, structuring their race schedules right, structuring their years right, setting themselves up for success, because we don't know how many years you're going to do in this sport. You may do a couple years, you may do 2 decades, but whatever time frame you're going to be in endurance sports really needs to be, fun, enjoyable, and my goal is to help you along that journey in a sustainable way where we're still going to improve. It may take a little extra time, but the goal is to not have to take breaks in training, not have to overwork you, not have to possibly have you on the edge of breaking. Now, if you have some audacious goals that you're dead set on and you really are looking to do something really impressive in a shorter period of time, we'll have that conversation. We'll have the, okay, if this is what you really want to do by a certain time frame, then we're going to have to push the envelope a little bit and there may be some risks involved. But for the most part, the people that have come on board are those that are kind of in it for the long run. They understand that, again, this endurance journey is not linear. It's got it's just a stepped approach basically towards race day, and that's what we're gunning for. And that's kind of just how I started helping people, and it's progressed now about 3 full years in on coaching. Last year we had last 2 years were phenomenal years. We've had, I mean, anybody on board, as far as people trying to meet cutoffs at races, to people getting back from injury, Ironman world champions 70.3 and full distance qualifiers and racers. We've had Boston qualifiers already. So once those things start happening and people, or even just people start learning, like they have these aha moments of like, I'm getting the training. I understand why intensities need to be a certain way. I understand my body more. Like those are wins to me. And right then and there, as these things started happening, I said, you know what, like there's no more imposter syndrome. Like I've solidified myself to be able to help people, put processes in place, and we're just going to keep trucking along. And as long as I think my mentality is to continue progressing outward with coaching, just like I did with my endurance sports year after year, that then, this is something that is the coaching thing is going to be sustainable because we're just going to keep paving our way forward through this coaching industry and be able to, solidify ourselves as a good presence here. So I thank all the athletes who are on board or were on board, or even those that just may have thought they wanted to come on board at some point. Right now I'm pretty close to being maxed out for this year as far as athletes. It's a good mix because I am still racing. I am still training. I feel it's important at this point of my journey to still be out there kind of doing it with the athletes as well, as far as racing, like getting after it. I think there's motivation behind that. I'm not a retired elite level athlete or anything where I can kind of hang my laurels on my past and say these are the titles I've won, and I'll coach now in the second half of my year. I'm still learning, and then even things I put together, certain workouts, like I'll test them before I put them out to other people. So I think that's very important to be able to be in the trenches with them at this point still. And it's motivating to me to even stay more appropriate and on pace with my training so that I can set a good example for the community of athletes that I have. So the Giving It a Try name, which we talked about in my initial journey, the part one, was a Facebook group of a few people that I knew through running. Back in 2017, it was created. And then when I carried that name over to kind of myself as an athlete and a community somewhere around 2020, 2021, was just that's me, like giving it a try. Like my philosophy is balancing life 1 mile at a time. And why I came up with that is, when I started all this, I had 2 young kids. I have a wife, a house to take care of, a career. Like there's still a lot going on. And I just really compartmentalize my training is, yes, I could put together, if I have a 70.3 coming up, I know I have a 16-week block of training. I'll look at the date, I'll look backwards, I'll put the training together, but I'll glance at the future. Don't live in it. Like, understand what you're doing today is for the goal, that delayed gratification. Understand there's tons of bricks to still put in place before that day. If you had a bad week last week, learn from it. You can look at the past, but don't live in it. Like if you had a bad week of training last week, it is what it is. But the thing you need to do is focus on now. Focus on today, this week, maybe the most, this training session, and go from there. And that's how you try and balance it all 1 mile at a time. Like every session or every week that you have to put your calendar together based on when your wife or your girlfriend is going to be home or working, or who's watching the kids and everything like that. Like plugging all that in is all about just balancing it, 1 mile at a time. And don't worry about next month when you got that big ride or that big run. Like figure it out then. Like you just need to live in the moment now. And that's where that kind of motto came from. And that's how I kind of get through all this. And it's just be able, some people ask, like, how are you working, coaching, training, dad, all this other stuff? Where does it all fit in? How do you do this? And it's cliche to say we all have 24 hours in a day. It doesn't matter how you spend it. Yeah. But it's all just about finding what works for you, your balance. Recording this right now in the middle of the day while wife's working and the kids are at school. I got a couple hours to myself, and I'm going to make some content. I'm going to create. That's just who I am, and that's what I'm going to do. There is some sacrifice with that balance. I'm thinking putting together an episode of just all about that, what that sacrifice meant to me, things I had to sacrifice in life. There was some changes I had to make when I went down this whole road starting in 2017 up until now on things that I don't participate in anymore, or things I don't do anymore, things that I don't want to say I don't have time for them, but I really don't. Like, it's not that I don't have time. It's just I chose to do other things besides what I was doing at the time. So again, just to sum up with everything with the coaching is, the Giving It a Try is a community. So if you're here right now, you're part of the community. If you've ever liked a story on Instagram or watched a video on YouTube or anything like that, like you're part of the community. It's not necessarily a team. I don't really count that. Even with my coached athletes, we're a team when we're talking about it and doing events together, but we're not a team as far as like I'm not going to tell somebody that they need to train for 4 to 5 months and they need to have this logo on them when they cross the finish line. Like that's to me that's not really what this is all about. What it's about is actually when we first started doing all the coaching, I called it the underground. We had a Facebook page, a private page before I started the coaching app that I run now with the coached athletes. But I called it the underground because it was a private group, and then when you came on board for coaching, I'd send you this Facebook group. That, we call it the undergrounds because giving it a try is a community, right? Like it's me, it's out there, it's people I train with, it's people I get in my videos. Um, and then the underground was like, you're now part of the underground portion of it. Like we're in it together. We're in the trenches. We're training. I'm getting you to your goals. You know, tag me once in a while in an Instagram post. You'll see that like athletes will tag me. Yeah, that's they're out there grinding. They're coaching. They're checking the boxes. They're getting coached. But I don't anticipate them to be wearing the gear and things like that. Not at that point with things right now. That's just I'm open ended. I have athletes from all different types of teams that they represent on race day. There's some coached athletes I've never even met in person yet. But we've had a pretty good relationship with coaching and talking to each other, where if they're training locally by them on a tri team or a run team and they're going to go do their marathon, and those are the people that they spend hours and hours grinding out there with, even though they're doing my program, rep them on race day, man. Like, kudos to them. They were out there helping you get through it as well. It doesn't have to be, you know, my logo or anything like that. So I'm very low key with things like that. Just that maybe why I mention that is it may tell a little bit about my personality and my approach with things. Like I don't need to be all flashy and look what we're doing out there. Like I still like that underground vibe that we kind of have with these coached athletes. Is like, you know how you'll tell that they're a coached athlete is when I post their Medal Monday with their PR on Monday, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's why they did so well, is because you were being coached by Coach Ken over there." That's my aha moment is I'm able to tag you up on a Medal Monday saying how great of a job you did over the last X amount of weeks and months and getting it done out there. So the coaching just came naturally. It really is something I enjoy doing. It's something I love, having a community of people backing each other. It's amazing watching everybody interact on the coaching app that we have, and just getting after it is pretty cool on there. Just putting out as much information as I can. I love, again, passing along knowledge, passing along any teachings, learnings, anything we can with that. And it really makes all the difference out there when you have a good, solid group of people. And again, it's a core group of athletes that are from all levels and abilities. People that are PRing races still or qualifying for races. And then there's people that are out there just chasing cutoffs and chasing just the day to day grind. But remember, no matter where you fit in that spectrum of ability, you are still light years ahead of the world population as itself. Like, you're out there moving your body and you're getting it done. And there's only a small percentage of people that still do that on a day-to-day basis. So the fact that you're out there doing it is really all the better out there. And that's what I love about this community and that quote unquote underground that we have with working together. And the last part is, I guess, results speak for themselves, but I also pride myself on my personality and work ethic across all aspects of my life. And I think that is something that I was able to portray via social media. And that's one thing I like to put out there is, and the more receiving I get on that, as far as when I'm at events or races and I see somebody who I really don't even know, or maybe I just seen in passing, I may not even know their name, and they tell me like, "Hey, I follow your stuff and it's really inspiring, it's really motivating," or said, "Hey, that last video was really awesome that you did." Like when I get those random things every so often when I'm out there, that's what really makes me realize that all this is worth it. I always said from the beginning, if it can change one person's day, even one person's, it doesn't have to be like change their lives. If it helped that one person get out there and get the work done that they needed to do for the day, even one person on one day, on one workout, all of this was worth it. And all of this is something that I definitely am happy to have done for that person. So again, I'm glad you all are tuning in. You're kind of caught up now, and I'm excited over that. You've now known my journey through endurance. You know me kind of as a coach now. Now we can kind of get into the current events of things. Like I said, I'm writing down a lot of ideas, people I want to speak to, get our first interview up on here finally. And I would just really appreciate it if, again, you just follow along for the journey. Give me some feedback, send me a message, send me an email, go to the website, givingitaTry.com, and let me know things you want to talk about or things that you want to hear more about. Maybe you heard something during this journey of mine in endurance or coaching, and you're like, I want to hear more about that one race or your experience with whatever it is. And for now, everybody, I just want to say again, thanks for tuning in. Stay healthy, stay safe, keep balancing that life 1 mile at a time, and I'll catch you all on the next one.